So today I'm going to show you how to, this is a very, very, very simple way to cook a chicken. It's one of my favorite ways, actually, from Thomas Keller, who's a chef in the States, who does a fantastic whole chicken. And so what we're going to do is we're going to truss it. So we're going to truss it by tying it together with some butcher's twine. And what that does is it just bundles it up together so that it cooks nice and evenly. Especially whole chicken, there's all different types of parts and sizes. So you want to make sure that it's bundled together. So again, it cooks evenly. So what I'm going to do is I have it on my designated cutting board for my chicken. I have a piece of butcher's twine. It's about 3 feet. Don't use shoelaces. I think we've covered this before. They don't work that well.
For food safety purposes, yeah.
No.
Don't be using the string off that present you just unwrapped and tying it around your chicken.
And so what I'm going to do is, what you want to do is when you do it yourself at home, make sure that the opening or the legs face you, like I have here, the wings to the front. I'm going to try to do it backwards. I don't know how this is going to work out, just so you guys can see it. So what I'm going to start is with the middle piece of the string. We're going to go under the tailbone here, like this. So we have a nice little starting point. Then we're going to go over the legs. Okay, let's try to do this. And then under and back over again. So I kind of have an 8. If this is loose, you guys see that? How it's like a crisscross there? Now from there, we can just tighten it, pull it together so that the legs now come together. Okay, now we're going to go underneath the chicken. And this is probably the hardest part, but it's not that hard. You want to flip it. So now I'm doing it backwards, remember. So now the neck is going to face you. And my string doesn't line up exactly, but we're going to pull it towards the neck and underneath. So that's this piece here. Like that. And then tie a knot. This is my hardest part because I never went to like Boy Scouts or anything, so I can tie my shoes and that's about it. We're just going to tie a regular knot. If you can tie a slip knot, that would be preferable.
So why are we going through this? Because we want to impress our friends about how we can tie together a chicken, how we're all chefs in the kitchen. Yes, that's important. We want to impress our friends and family. But this is also important for our food safety point of view. Can anyone think of why we want to tie this chicken up into a nice little bundle?
Because then the chicken can't escape.
I was going to say not fly away.
Right, then he won't move around and try to escape.
I wouldn't do this to a live chicken. Probably not. Yeah.
Nice. We have some comedians in the audience, literally. All right. Well, it really is to make sure that the chicken cooks evenly.
Absolutely. So we have our chicken tied up here. The last part is the wings. You can do it tied up when you're doing the twine, or what you do is you just point them forward like this, and they'll tuck right underneath, like that.
It's like he's doing this.
Yeah, and it actually props it up. Really, really nice. Really, really nice for you here. So our chicken's ready to go. The last thing, which you can do, if you want, I mean this is optional, is take out the wishbone. So the wishbone is right at the front. All this does is it's going to make carving the chicken a lot easier. So if you put your finger in there, you can actually feel it come down. Everyone knows what a wishbone looks like? Thanksgiving? Yeah, fighting with your sibling, something like that. So you can take a knife and you just want to feel it. You can carve in there. And it's harder to do live, but this should come right out. It's a lot easier to do before cooking than after. This is really in there. I'm sorry if it looks like I'm violating the chicken here. All right.
I always leave it in. It's just easier.
So it should come out pretty clean. It's a little messy, but there's your wishbone there. And I'll show you after. It just makes the carving a lot easier. So our chicken's done. We're gonna season it up really well. And so I'm just seasoning this. I mean, this is a very basic chicken. You can, some people put a little bit of seasoned butter underneath the skin. You can do orange zest, lemon zest, get crazy with the dried spices. It's completely up to you. I'm just using salt and pepper. Very, very simple. With the salt, again, this is a nice little tip from Keller. You do it from a height. Now again, it's not because I'm trying to be fancy. What it does is, as it falls, it actually starts to separate, and it gives it a nice coating, a nice sprinkle on the top.
Then you don't have to add as much sodium.
Yes.
Or salt.
Now remember, like, I mean, I'm adding a few pinches here. Most of this, it's on the outside, and a lot of it is actually going to fall off during the cooking process. The salt does build a nice little crispy crunch on the outside, but yeah, you want to taste it after for seasoning. A lot of this is actually going to fall off. So I'm done. A little bit of herbs. You can go into the cavity here. Orange peel, garlic, very loose. If I'm doing a turkey and I'm adding stuffing to this, just make sure that that bird is going to take a little bit longer to cook. It's also, you know, because there's no air here, there's air circulating. If I pack it up with stuffing, the air is not circulating in there anymore. So now it's going to take even longer to cook. Just, you know, I usually don't do stuffing in there, or if you do it, just loosely pack it. Just make sure you don't, you know, jam this thing full. Don't put a whole orange in here or anything like that. Make sure there's air circulating throughout.
If you are immune compromised, it's recommended that you don't stuff your poultry, that you actually cook your stuffing separately. With that whole kind of separation, because the poultry and the stuffing, they need different safe internal temperatures that they have to get to. And as soon as you start kind of mixing things up, you're running the risk that the inside of the bird isn't going to get cooked all the way through.
Okay, so baking tray. I'm just throwing a few carrots in there. You can put onions, whatever you want, just something that will elevate the chicken up so it doesn't burn on the bottom. And then your chicken is going to go right inside. Again, see, like nice and all bundled up. It's not flopping all over the place, which is fantastic.
And then Jeremy goes and shakes everyone's hand and answers phone calls.
Yes.
Kidding, right? So you want to make sure, you know, you're not touching different utensils that you're going to be using later. You're always washing your hands every time you touch the bird or surface that it's been on.
And so that's going to go into the oven. I like a hot oven, so 450 degrees. And something this size, this is a smaller bird. Take about 60 to 75 minutes. If you have something a little larger, it'll take a little bit longer. The best way to check is using a food thermometer. You know, a lot of people don't have food thermometers at home. It's something I always recommend, not only for getting, you know, the perfect internal temperature of different cuts, but just for safety as well. So chicken pieces, if it's chicken breast, you know, legs on its own, you want an internal temperature of 165 degrees Fahrenheit. That is cooked through and it's safe to eat. Anything that's whole, and this is anything usually I recommend with a bone, you're gonna go more. So for a whole chicken, it's actually 185 degrees Fahrenheit. And what you wanna do is you wanna measure the thickest part of the chicken. So you can go right somewhere inside the breast or somewhere inside the deep thigh there, and it's 185, so a lot longer. Now we're doing some more vegetables. We got some cauliflower here. You know, I know they're taking the back seats to the chicken, but it's very simple. Dress them whichever way you like. I have some really nice purple and green cauliflower and some shallots as well. The dressing that I put on there is very simple. Some Dijon mustard, this is grainy mustard, a little bit of olive oil. And what I want to do is I'm going to add that to the roasting dish about halfway through, because these obviously aren't going to take as long. You don't want them to go super crispy on you. So that's going to go into the oven halfway through, and I'll show you what it looks like. This should be done.
Question? Instant oven, that's right.
Yes,
so
instant
through the
oven.
magic of television and time travel, we're able to show you a fully prepared chicken.
Right. So you can see the crispy skin on the chicken. Beautiful, that's because of the high temperature. You can serve it as is, super easy.